How you doing there, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Nexweave show. We have an interesting one for you today, so thank you for joining with us. Without further ado, I have the founder, Inder, with me. Inder, how you doing? Good morning, good evening.
It's close to good night for us over here.
Good night, yeah.
How are you doing, Bruce?
Just ready to start the day on this lovely Thursday morning. That being said, let's jump in and talk Nexweave and some of the updates that we have going on this week.
Absolutely. So it wasn't a great week for us. We've had a few of our team members being diagnosed with COVID. Ashutosh can't join us today because he's also been diagnosed with COVID. So let's hope he gets better soon, and then we can see him back again on these shows.
Sure.
In terms of the feedback that we were getting, some of them requested that they wanted to see media libraries added in terms of stock videos and stock images. That's something that we've included. We're just testing it out, and very soon you'll see those available on the platform as well. I can probably show you guys a quick glimpse of that from our testing servers.
Let me say a quick hello to Andrew. Andrew, thank you for joining us this morning. And yeah, I get a lot of compliments on the background here too. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so very soon you would be able to also pull in stock images. So we had the upload and the media gallery option. We'll soon have the option of browsing through stock images and then including them into your platform depending on the ones that are useful for you guys. Same thing is going to be made live for videos as well. So you'll find a stock video library. So right now we've integrated with it with Pixabay. That will be the first of many integrations that we do as we go along. So if you guys have any suggestions in terms of what kind of libraries we could include, let us know and we'll have conversations with those teams as well. That's one update. The second one is that we'll soon be releasing a section called tutorials on the platform as well. For those of you who want to understand how to use the platform and then move forward. We'll also be adding a whole tour. So if you have any suggestions on what kind of things you want us to cover, it could be how to launch an email campaign or how to launch a LinkedIn campaign, etc., etc. Let us know what you want us to be included over here, and then we will accordingly put in all the steps in terms of how you can achieve that. So those are some of the updates that we've been working on, and you should be able to access these probably by mid-May once we have the complete round of testing done.
Yes. So let's go into that a little bit. So you have new depositories of like Pixabay. What if people wanted to have access to something like, I don't know, Storyblocks in the future, which is like a little bit more of a premium video template service?
Correct. So right now we've gone ahead with asset libraries which can be quickly integrated. We'll soon start including some of the premium libraries, but we'll have to just figure out how the subscriptions would be modified in those cases, since these are going to be something that we'll also have to be regularly paying as well.
Right.
So those are things that we'll have to take into consideration. But if you see that there are certain libraries that are going to be more useful, especially for doing the kind of outreaches or the kind of campaigns that you're doing, let us know so that we can have those conversations with them, get in the numbers to have better negotiations, and we'll be happy to have those included over here.
Sure thing. I like the new Frogger help widget. That's going to come in handy. But I like the idea of also considering bringing in other partners when it comes to photos or video templates. I thought that was like interesting, different, and unique. So obviously I'm going to put Storyblocks up there, but maybe I should think of, oh, there you go. Omar, he took the words right out of my mouth. Pexels would be great for a photo service to bring into the platform too. Wouldn't be a bad idea. And I was just going to say the same thing. Pexels, well, I was introduced to Pexels through Glorify, right? So Glorify has several different little, like Icon 8, right? So if you want to have icons that you want to bring in also, that's not a bad service to bring in also into the platform too, as you can have it as overlays. Yeah, same thing.
Correct. So Pexels is also something that we've added to the list.
Sure.
We've also got approval from Canva, so very soon we'll also explore how that can be integrated. Though they don't have videos in their API as of now. We are in talks with the Canva team as well to see how we could probably think of including those as well. So yes, keep sending across your suggestions in terms of which ones are most useful for you guys. And then we will accordingly have discussions with the respective parties to see which ones we can get on board.
Perfect, Omar. Thank you very much for that suggestion. I agree with you too. I'll put Icon 8 so that way we can have like a little photo asset as maybe as an overlay too. Like for example, I'd love to have like social media overlays on some of the photos. These don't have to be interactive, but like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is like little stickers or icons that you would apply over a video, in the player, where it's not manipulative, you're not interacting with it, great, but it acts as an overlay to the video that plays behind it. Perfect, totally fine. It just shows you, it's just an extra layer of customization that makes it look fancy, makes it look nice. That's pretty much it.
Correct. So the best part is that we've already thought of including some element of on-screen widgets that could come in. It could be shapes, it could be icons. It won't happen in this quarter, but we'll soon have those social media widgets where people can just include a widget and say, click on this to subscribe to my Facebook group or something like that. So those are planned. It's just that they won't be coming in this quarter. Maybe sometime next quarter, we will have those additional components also coming in. So the idea is that probably in the next quarter, you'll see some components where you won't have to design buttons from scratch or design icons and then add them. We will start including a library of pre-formatted components that you can start using right off the shelf. So your buy now buttons could have probably 4 to 5 styles that you can pick and start using immediately, instead of picking up the standard option and then customizing it from scratch.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Oh, here we go. Omar again. Lordicon for Lodi files would be amazing. True, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, in fact, we've actually not observed many of the users make use of Lodi files, which is actually a very great component if you start exploring that piece. So I'll probably note that we should be making a video on how you can extract the value of Lodi files integration, which is there on the platform, because your videos will look significantly better with these buttons which are moving around with slide animations, and your CTR will be typically higher than what you're getting right now. I'm not sure if Lord icon is there in Lottie files, but there might be an update, so I'll check that, Omar.
But I do like the recommendation. Omar, appreciate that. We should have you come on one of these days. Actually, anyone who wants to come on, I've put the StreamYard invitation link if you want to give us your feedback or suggestions. I try to make some of our weekly episodes like an open invite. You'll see there's a StreamYard link. So if you want to jump on from your phone or from your computer, you could jump right in and we can have an instant roundtable just like that. I'm trying to make it easily and open and accessible to all, so we could all have a little on-air discussion, so to speak. So there you go. I'm trying to make it an extra layer of interactivity, not just your comments that we could put up on the screen, but if you actually want to come on and talk to us, I make that available for everyone too. Name someone else who does that. Name someone else who gives you open forums like that. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. Alrighty. So let's hope Ashtosh feels better. So we're sorry to hear that. But hopefully he'll come on within a week or two after he gets over what's going on. And
Absolutely.
Omar, thank you again for joining us. So what's next, Inder? What do we have to look forward to?
So the next month is going to be more about making the platform more easy to use, which is where you'll see more of onboarding, more of content being released. We're also planning a course. So we'll soon load a survey in the forum as well to see what do you want us to cover in the course. Like we've covered about 9 topics, so there are 9 videos already on the YouTube channel, which are also going to be made available on the tutorial section of the application as well. But we're also thinking of a detailed course on how you could use Nexweave for cold outreach. You could use Nexweave for automations, etc., etc. So let us know which are the primary areas that you want to cover, and if some of you want to volunteer and be contribute some use cases yourself, I'll be happy to include those as well.
Well, we did talk about having some sort of public directory where the use case of some of the other, like let's say early adopters or customers from the first lifetime deal would be able to have their scenario included in a public network, based on a country by country basis. These are the niches that you fulfill. I think that makes sense if we continue to still move forward with that, because the scenario or the expertise in which that agency is discussing or highlighting how they're using Nexweave, kind of like what we did with Sel, right? She would be doing outreach and lead gen. Perfect. Those would be her 2 niches. She would be like an ideal partner to list on the Nexweave partner directory in, let's say, inside the United States. Perfect, right? I think that just goes to make sense that maybe we create like a little Google form and have people fill out what countries. And one of the stipulations is, in order for you to come onto the partner directory, you have to be willing to come on and explain your use case live on the stream also, because guys, we're going to use that as part of your kind of like your video intro that we could link to as part of the directory, which I'm just coming with on the spot here. But also you'll want that for yourself, and we'll save it on YouTube as well, like a publicly accessible video. I think that also just kind of makes sense, because eventually the idea is to have like a reseller network. That's something that we've been discussing for like a year. Having that being said, guys, how do you feel about that reseller network? A public directory of specialists or Nexweave partners based on a country by country basis, and listing to us what are the use cases, your scenarios, and the niches that you fulfill, and how you help use Nexweave for your customers. Let us know how you like that idea. If you think using a Google form is a great way to get you started, if you're okay with that. And I know that's something that we were working on the back end. I know we put that on the back burner for a little bit, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to be like, oh, hey, we have a dozen people. Okay, perfect. Here's a great way to get started.
So in fact, that's something that's already started rolling out. We've had conversations with some of our power users to see how they're using it in various niches. One of them was supposed to join us today, but again, they're also based out of India, and his mother got COVID as well. So I know the situation is a little bleak over here. So we're also trying to stay a little calm for the next couple of weeks, work on things that can just improve the platform a little bit. And then I'll make a formal announcement in terms of how the partners are going to get onboarded. We would love to have inputs in terms of how you're using Nexweave in a variety of ways. I've seen examples where some of them have come forth and said that I'm an expert in the BFSI space, and this is what I think it could be used in. So we are happy to build those use cases with those partners, so that then we can have a longer relationship where we focus on making a better product and they can focus on having better relationships. And that's how the agency and the product equation that we're building could work in perfectly well. So anyone who's got any suggestions, it could be the niche that you're working in, it could be the industry that you have expertise in, it could be the channels that you've got expertise in. Just let us know so that we could start having conversations with you to see how the structures can be built.
I just want to say, Juan, thank you for joining us. I saw your Facebook like pop up. Andrew, thank you again for joining us. Okay, that being said, what do we want to cover next for what's going to be on the immediate rollout for May?
So May would see the completion of all the features that we had mentioned earlier in terms of sub-accounts and agency being made available. We've had a look at the sub-accounts module for, I would say, more than 12 to 15 products to see how we could have a well-structured sub-account model that agencies can use. So that's what took us a little longer to see that we're covering most of the edge cases that some of these tools haven't done. So that's going to be made available by next month. We'll have stock libraries coming out next month. Then we will have the new onboarding experience coming out next month as well. And sometime around the first week of June is when we will plan to have the course available for people who want to go and follow the step-by-step process to learn how they can master how the whole Nexweave toolkit, along with the various use cases that are necessary for their business, etc., etc. We might even have a certification of sorts, so that once people have done the whole exercise, we can have them enlisted in some directory, like I said, or as and panel as those individuals who could help people who bought an Nexweave license and don't have the time to use that.
I'm going to see if we can invite some of our guests, some of our community members as guests on the stream. I'm just putting it out there to see if anyone's going to be interested too.
By the way, we had a discussion with Andrew as well. He's working on a very interesting tool, which maybe I'll have a word with him and see how we can showcase a demo of Nexweave working along with that. So let's see. That could also be an interesting one for most of you guys.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Andrew, how do you like that? How do you like that? Or Andrew, if you want to come on right now and talk to us for a few minutes, there's the StreamYard link right down there below.
In fact, I'm also waiting for Omar to share some examples. We did have a brief conversation in fact, this week itself. We're constantly having conversations with people who've already bought Nexweave and they're using it actively. We've added a couple of team members in the clan as well. So they'll be reaching out to you, having conversations on how you're using the platform, how it can be made better, because they'll eventually be using those learnings to improve the whole experience on the platform. So just be kind to the guys who are approaching you.
Marcus, good question. Any news regarding the QuickPage integration?
So we had a couple of discussions with them, but then because of some cases of our team members not keeping well, we had to hold that for a while. I'll reach out to their team once again and have a discussion. Chad and I had one call on that particular piece, but let me speak to him once again, or maybe one of you guys who've got both the tools can also reach out to him and put in a word so that we could probably schedule another call with him.
Marcus, thank you for joining us and your question. Appreciate it.
In fact, since Marcus, since you're over here, could you highlight how exactly you want the integration to be? Because they've got video landing pages, they've got a video recorder toolkit. So how would you want the workflow to be? Could you be a little more elaborate about that?
Looking for a follow-up comment from you, Marcus. Alrighty. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, Ender, next week we're going to have this stream on your account too, because I'm streaming to my personal profile, or we'll stream on yours also.
Yeah, absolutely. I think next week, if we're starting the series on how we can educate individuals by inviting other SaaS founders or our power users on how they're using other SaaS tools. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because we were supposed to start this week itself, but because of the number of cases that happen in the country and because of Ashutosh's health, we've had to push that apart. But hopefully next week onwards, we will start having the first of the series where we plan to cover how Nexweave can be used for LinkedIn outreach, then how it can be used with WhatsApp, how it can be used with emails. So I'm also excited about those series, because anyone who's watching it will also learn a lot more on how you can put it into use with some examples as well. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the situation gets better over here and we could have them.
I like that idea. I like that idea. Marcus, we're still waiting on you. Andrew, you too. We haven't heard from you. Yeah. Alrighty. Let me see what else. Thank you. Go away. All righty, Marcus. Oh, there it is. Hey, thank you. All right. My idea is to create multiple quick pages without having to create one video per customer. Like the example where Chad uses a whiteboard with the prospect's name. So in other words, he would use quick page to have a template video, right? And let's say there was a blank section on the video because he held something up. It doesn't have to be a whiteboard, but sure, we could use that example. I see what he's going with, right? He wants Nexweave to do the customization or the personalization per user, but he wants the template video to be held or hosted inside quick pages.
Correct. So this is a use case that we discussed with Chad as well, where someone will record the video on quick page. The video will then have to be pushed into Nexweave so that they could use that video, add those overlays with personalization into that. And then the video flows back again into the quick page landing page itself, where it could be one of the videos in the whole gallery. So that's the exact use case I discussed with Chad. So I'll reach out to him. I'll mention that Marcus had shared this particular use case. And let's see if we can pick that conversation once again. I'm not promising it anytime soon, considering that we are also a little low on the team count right now. But I can initiate the conversation, and maybe sometime in May or June, we can have this live a bit.
I really like that concept. Now, technically, once that workflow is put into place, we could use the same thing with all the other video hosted platforms that do kind of like that mini outreach. Like a lot of you guys remember, I helped launch Dub, did a lot of consulting also with Hippo Video. So the same concept kind of applies. As long as Hippo Video and Dub would have some sort of element of having an embed with, like Marcus mentioned, a templatized video where it's generic, so it could apply to everyone on purpose, then it makes sense applying the embed into Nexweave and have Nexweave apply the layer of personalization onto those the whiteboard elements, right? The blank canvas elements that you would have inside those video hosted in other third-party platforms. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
In fact, not just that, we could technically work with anyone who has a video recording platform or a plugin to see how they want it to be included in the platform. So right now we have the option of upload. We could also include an option where someone can have a recording plugin, so that we could have a record option and integrate that particular plugin. So it could be Loom, since they have an SDK being made available now. It could be any of the tools like SenseSpark or vMaker, etc., etc. So let us know which tools you guys are using the most. I'll start having conversations with these founders as well to see if they're open to the whole idea.
That being said, Marcus, thank you also for joining us and for your comment. I like that. I like that thought process, that follow-up. And guys, a lot of times we ask you for these examples and scenarios. It's not just for us, but it's also to give you guys other ideas as well. Because if you take his workflow, maybe you can apply it to one of your platforms that you're looking for. I'll give you an example. Some people really like those proposal platforms. Some people really like the PowerPoint presentation alternative platforms like Deck Octopus, right? Perfect. What if there was an embed element, and then you can include that embed element inside Nexweave? And let's say there was a way to do personalization on a public deck. You know, I'm just trying to come up with different scenarios, but that's kind of like the reason why we do these things, is to hear what are you looking forward to? You know, what are some different ways that you'd like to see personalization applied to your different formats of multimedia? You know, again, we just toss ideas because we also, this is our way to give you a little bit of time where we could brainstorm with you back and forth also. So again, Marcus, thank you very much for the idea, suggestion, and your workflow. And hopefully other community members got a little bit of some ideas as how they can apply Nexweave onto, you know, a very generic or video that could be used as a template as well. So Marcus, thank you very much for that. Okay, cool, guys. We're coming up on 25 minutes. Let's start wrapping it up here. Let's see. I'm looking forward to the landing page development of videos that are hosted on Nexweave. I'm looking forward to that, so we can apply our own customizations, guys. I don't know if you remember that, but I earlier episodes we had done, it was just like a white background with a video posted on it. And I said, there's a lot of opportunities there where we could apply like backgrounds, maybe an embed of maybe a chat option of like a widget in the lower right-hand corner, or maybe apply an embed of a chat box below a video, or the fact that maybe we could apply buttons and the buttons would take us to certain links as a redirect, or apply an embed of a calendar scheduling service down below the video, things like that. I'm looking forward to that, right? I'm looking forward to having, on top of the customized media that we'll be delivering, I'm looking forward to, hey, what are the other things that we could play with? Getting lead gen or chatting or helping convert sales right there on that landing page. So if that happens in May or June or July, that's something that I'm big and looking forward to. And a lot of you guys know I like my customization on my platform, so I'll probably have something like a Beck chat or a Bruce chat on that landing page, on that Nexweave landing page. So I'm looking forward to that. Inder, before we wrap up, is there anything that you're looking forward to releasing in the next 3 months or so?
So I'm not sure many of you have noticed, but we've just released a website personalization plugin, which we're still tweaking a little bit. So maybe in a couple of weeks, I'll showcase a proper demo on how that can be used. And unlike the WordPress plugin that we had earlier, this will probably allow you to do the customization on any landing page. Could be a custom landing page, could be a WordPress page, etc., etc. All you would need to do is add a few lines of code that we're offering you. And the Chrome plugin will allow you to swap elements from your existing landing page to include, I think, up to 5 templates in a page itself. So that's one thing that I'm fairly excited about, considering that many of these examples that people have been mentioning, that we want to use our own chatbot, our own forms, our own meeting links on the same page, all of that would be a lot easier for people who want to run those kind of experiments with this particular plugin. So it's still something that we're testing. The UX needs to be improved, but it's a functionally working platform for those of you who would want to understand how that works. In a couple of weeks, I'll have a video on how to make use of it.
So think about that, guys. Your workflow now can start from an email where, let's say it's a GIF or a photo that's personalized, to a video Nexweave landing page that's also personalized. And then when you click on that specific video, you could take people to a web page that is, let's say, your, like an appsumo.com webpage, to a johnsmith.com webpage. It literally doesn't matter. An mtv.com, microsoft.com webpage. But because they came from your Nexweave video landing page to one of your generic website pages, you can also have a layer of personalization on the web. So we're talking photo, GIF, video, and web. Your whole customer experience, let's say prior to a conversion, right? Because that'll help the conversion process, obviously. Conversion is sales, guys, FYI. So the idea is the moment you touch them with an email or a text, and it takes them to a Nexweave landing page where there might be a video hosted. And then from there, we take it a step further and take it to your website that's also personalized. You could literally have your whole customer experience completely personalized. So, Ms. Evans, hey guys, will those plugin use cookies to make a page-by-page personalization? That's a good question.
Yeah, in fact,
Cody,
I had a conversation.
Cody, appreciate it.
So this is an interesting use case that came up a couple of months back as well. So let me just elaborate what she's pointing out to. When you run a campaign, you get someone from an email to your landing page. That's the use case that we've been harping upon. But it's also possible that you're running the campaign where you're taking them to your website, and then the user is browsing through the rest of the website. So with this particular functionality, they will be able to traverse from one page to the other, and all the pages which have personalization activated could see the glimpses of personalization depending on how it's happening. So we've not dived into cookies as yet, but it's a great suggestion. If more of you want to use it in that particular fashion, although most of our users are using it on a single email to a single landing page to get the CTAs clicked on over there. But if more of you are coming up with use cases where you want to use it across the whole website with multiple pages of personalization, then maybe we can prioritize this for sometime next quarter and try to bring that up on the platform as well.
The other thing I want to mention is technically, and Miss Evans, let me know if you agree with this or not, and you're always free to come on the stream. Technically, we don't need to have it on a cookie by cookie basis if they're going to follow the workflow from an email, right? Or an SMS is their first point of contact, and then from there they're going to go to the Nexweave experience, right? The Nexweave landing page, and then from there we take them to a website. At that point, the website will see, oh, this person came from the Nexweave landing page. So it could be like a URL modifier, since it's almost like they click on a button to be directed to, misscelevans.com/Nexweave/BruceCraft or, Ender. The point being is that final modifier could be, oh, they came from a previous Nexweave page. Technically, you don't need to use cookies if you're running them through that customer experience workflow, right? One being your outreach, being the email, SMS, two being the Nexweave landing page, and the third one being your final destination. Your final destination can say, oh, this person, it'll see from the URL modifier, it came from a Nexweave landing page. So technically, you don't have to. But on the other hand, I could see why you might want it, because you may want someone to come back, especially if you're in e-commerce, 2-3 months later, that they didn't necessarily come from the landing page. You may want to have a cookie that pushes that layer of personalization also. Maybe they've already gone through the email experience and the Nexweave landing page experience. Great. But 2-3 months later, when they go back for sales, you still want them to have that layer of customization. Yes, I could totally see why. I don't know if the cookie implementation, how that would work out also for agencies that are going to be having a white label component to it. Maybe it's something that we have to think about. And is that even important? Do we care about this, guys? A. B, can we handle that through like maybe a WordPress plugin? How would you guys like to see that done? What feedback can you provide, or suggestions that you could think of or that you could suggest that aren't necessarily WordPress plugins? Like, right, let's say if you had a Wix-based website, that's not going to be a WordPress plugin. Great. How would you like to see that personalization applied to, non-WordPress CMS platforms? Something to think about.
So what you just mentioned about passing the URL modifier from one point to another, that could hold true if the personalization variables are very few. If, let's say, it's just a name. But
right.
Once you start diving deeper into the various experiences that you would want to use for e-commerce, for example, you would have the name, the product assets, the product prices, etc., etc. So I wouldn't recommend using so many URL modifiers in a longer sequence. So once we have enough requests for this kind of a use case, then maybe we will just start working on how we can make use of cookies. Though I'm not sure how long cookies are going to be available on various browsers and how many of them are going to allow cookies to function well. So I'll wait for some of the use cases to hit our banks, and then we can start working on them.
Yep, that's true. And for a lot of you guys that don't know, the cookie industry is going through a shakeup. Anything that's web-based marketing, that kind of got pushed with mobile web browsers kind of started initiating that push through like Apple Safari. And it's just gone even more aggressive with companies like Mozilla Firefox that are stopping the adoption of cookies and, cookie tracking, or the duration of how long cookies will last on desktop clients as well. I've always been a big proponent of moving forward from cookies, because that causes instability when you're talking about sales and conversions. We've experienced that. Everyone's experienced that. And that's why I've always tried to go into coupon code modifiers when we're talking sales, or direct URL links when it comes to sales. So I totally understand where you're coming from, but yeah, guys, we need to be able to, as a community and as a world as a whole, think of a world without cookies. How would you still make do? We're also trying to find out, how would you like to see, again, for those platforms that aren't WordPress based, how would you like to see customization take place besides a URL modifier And the only other thing I can think of is sometimes a lot of these smaller platforms, these CMS platforms, CMS is content management systems, is that they have their own standard little mini app, right? In the case of Wix, you would have like apps that are made specifically for that ecosystem. Is that something that would be easier? Do you guys like the idea? I mention that because we may have to create a generic labeled app for it. Let me give you a specific example. GoDaddy has a white label service that they literally call Worker. And that is the ability to hook up this Worker plugin into WordPress. That way you could push and process updates, gather reports, as well as push extra layers of security that GoDaddy pushes down into the websites through this Worker plugin. It doesn't say GoDaddy on it, but as you, as the, let's say the agency, you would provide this Worker plugin to the webmaster, or you would install it yourself onto the website. Okay, great. And that's how, you know, GoDaddy would go around not exposing their branding and not upsetting their white label resellers. Totally fine, get it. Is that something that you'd like to see done, right? We'll call it like generic, something generic, like personalize or personalization. You know, what do you guys want to see? Again, we're just trying to get some ideas, brainstorm with you how you prefer that workflow to be exposed to some of you who might have white label workflows that you work with your customers. Do you like that idea? We'd love to hear back from you. Inder, thoughts?
Yeah, so there are workarounds right now as well, where that can be managed. We don't have multi-session examples as of now, but let's say you took someone from an email to a landing page, and from the landing page, you have the links which are on the landing page, which are also configured such that they carry the personalization from that particular page to the next page. So that's how it can still be used, because there are two ways in which you can pass personalization variables. One is through URL modifiers. The other one is that when you go through the campaign section of the platform, there is a next ID that you see in the URL, which in a way encapsulate all the personalization variables. It could be 2, it could be 20, into that next ID. And as long as you're traversing the next ID from one page to the other, there is a way where you could personalize it across the whole experience as well, without the use of cookies for that one session. So maybe if someone wants me to cover a particular use case, or someone who want to try that particular example, then we could showcase it for the rest of the audience as well to see how that is a possibility.
I like that idea. Guys, give Inder your thoughts. Let him know what you'd like him to do. Cody, and again, I don't know if you heard, thank you very much for the heart and joining us today too. Cody Lab. Ms. Evans, we miss you. We're going to have you back on one of these weeks. Omar, an integration with Mux email would be great. They will soon add AMP emails that we could personalize and check out from the same email. Now, will those AMP emails allow you to do or process within an AMP email the ability to check out items, right? I understand there's a certain layer of elegance as well as slight interactions with those AMP emails inside of an AMP-friendly solution, like Gmail, for example, right? But if you're going to be able to process transactions within that extra layer of interactivity, which would be great, we have to see how far that layer of interactivity allows us to integrate with a layer of personalization in the AMP presentation or in the AMP experience. That would be something interesting to look into, because as AMP emails start to get adopted more and more, if there's a way for us to integrate with it, that would be ideal. That would be amazing. We would be at the forefront of that type of tech. If, yes, they're going to push full e-commerce transactions, number one. And number two, if they're going to allow layers of customizations, they may not. They may just say, these are the given fields that you may interact with an AMP sales process within an AMP email. That literally may be a solution, or may be the scenario, and we won't have a solution for that. So it all depends on the companies that are coming together with the AMP tech. If we could talk with them on a more on a deeper level to try to interact with them. Now, separately, interacting and integrating with Mux totally makes sense. But you mentioned two different things. One is a Mux integration. The other one is a AMP compatible integration and AMP emails. And just so those of you who don't know, AMP kind of started off with web-based, kind of like e-readers back in the day, like Google Reader, where you would be able to have a very simplified web-based reading experience through a reader platform. And once Google Reader got killed off by Google, a lot of us lost a lot of passion for that. But what it was is a way for you to read updates about a certain article to a website that you subscribe to. So here we are 6 years later, where AMP now is coming back more prevalent in simplified web-based solutions, again, for articles. And now they're including that inside emails too, where it takes away all the extra fluff of no banners, no backgrounds. It's very streamlined version of having like basic text and basic photos of an article that you can read in a very simplified manner. Some of these websites have now reader modes where you can see the font isn't fancy. It's just the direct content of the articles that you want to read. Great. That tech is now coming over to emails. So if AMP and the companies working behind AMP Technologies allow customization, that's something obviously, Andrew, yes, we should totally look into. That conversation with Muck's email is a conversation we should probably have anyway. As a lot of you guys know, it's been kind of like Ender's focus and passion to try to integrate with as many solutions that you guys suggest out there as much as possible. So Omar, thank you very much for the suggestion. And I'm interested to hear, what do you think about the direction of AMP technology, and necessarily, if they allow us to, integrating with that to help with the sales process, and obviously your thoughts of integrating with Muck's.
So we've already tested with AMP platforms. I think we tried Striper, we tried Mailmodo, and personalized images can be very smoothly used inside AMP emails as well. Videos are not still a part of the AMP email suite, where you can have video personalization in the email body, but you can use personalized images followed with AMP components like fill up a form or continue the transaction. And that will create an excellent B2C use case. If you've got, let's say, an e-commerce platform, you send them a personalized image with a link below through which you can complete the transaction as well. So I've seen some of the Indian companies make use of that as well. And yeah, throw up some use cases. I'll check out Muck's email as well to see what kind of options are available over there. And I'll see how we can think of an example of how we can integrate with them as well. I've not seen the platform as yet. I'll probably search it tonight and see what can be done over there.
Perfect. Omar, again, you hit it right out of the park with that one. And guys, I apologize. I don't normally get this technical on our weekly webisodes, but this just happened to be one where we're covering personalization aspects, customer experiences, AMP technology, and I try to make the streams that we get into a little bit more accessible, but I can nerd out. I can totally geek out, as you guys can tell. So yeah. Marcus, if I could only manage to hold the whiteboard in one place, and you added fonts that looked even more like handwriting or a whiteboard pen. So fonts is totally easily doable. Marcus, I was thinking about this. If you had a very basic video editor that while you spoke, you were like this, right? Let me move off to one side. And then here you would have like an easel, and it would be a static easel that could be set right here. So you would sit here, click record, and then when you're done with your video in like post or basic editing, you would just have an easel that you would be like, okay, it's going to fit on this side of the video. Great. That way you could have that canvas that you need to apply the personalization. Things like that just totally make sense. Matter of fact, Inder, if we added that as one of the layers, as a like a transparent PNG, right? And you can have like a lined notebook, a yellow notebook, a white notebook, or an easel with white pages or yellow pages. That totally makes sense. And then have that as a behind layer, and then have a personalization layer on the forefront that can easily address Mark's comment there, which does make sense. Mark, you don't have to wait for us. Any video editor, you should easily be able to apply some sort of blank type canvas, so that way we can apply the video personalization. I could do that now probably in video and add a a transparent PNG, so there's no background of an easel or a notebook there where people could write on it, right? That could easily be done on any of the video editing platforms, but I do like the idea. Technically, something like that we should think of, including into the components of the video player on the Nexweave experience. And he says to correct himself, the open rate on I think it's LinkedIn Outreach, and the click-through rate of an email with that GIF. Okay, I think that's referring to the quick pages scenario. But I do like where you were going from in this. It just makes the personalization as well as the video experience that much more easier if there's a way to have a little section of a video where a canvas can be applied. How do you like that, Inder? That makes a lot of sense. Just apply a transparent PNG of several different type of whiteboards, canvases, or notebooks where people can have, black font. Like obviously you can't apply black font on a black video, but if I have a notebook right here and then there's black font over that notebook, that makes sense.
So let me just answer that in a little bit of detail. We already have the option of uploading your own font. So if there's a font that you feel that it's going to be more suitable, you can go and upload that particular font as a handwriting font. We have some handwriting fonts available because there are more than 1,000 fonts available as part of the current integration with Google Fonts. So if you search for handwriting fonts in Google, you'll automatically find at least 2 or 3 fonts that can be made use of. The second thing is that for scenarios where you want to show a cardboard or a box or something that's moving as well, try out using a personalized image inside the personalized video and animating that personalized image. So you'll find that instead of syncing up the text along with the movement of the element, if you start using images with animations where they are sliding along the screen, they will look a lot more natural. I can probably show you a quick example as well that we've been trying to align it with some of the fully rendered solutions.
Please, and Mr. Evans, when you say they have a few already, please, could you specify for everyone what you're referring to? So that way we could, take some of your tips and also put it up on screen also. When you say they have a few already, are you referring to canvases? Are you referring to whiteboards? Thank you for joining us and popping us in on that. Inder, go ahead and take it away. There you go. We're sharing your screen.
Yes. So now what I've done over here is that this experience has another image template being inserted into the screen. Now I can have these frames move around in a fashion where the animation could be that they're sliding in from the left. And then I can slow down the whole animation where it just slides in slowly. So now the interesting part is that if you use a template where you want to modify the personalization variables at scale, where each of these guys will see different images over there with different names, different logos, etc., etc. That's also possible because when you have one Nexweave experience embedded in another, you can have the same personalization variable traverse through the primary as well as the secondary experience. So to show you guys an example, let's say I save this. I've generated a test link, and I know that the personalization variables are username and domain name in this case. So this is the standard video. This is the issue that you'll come across if you try to just have it on a moving canvas, which is what will not look very natural if you try to do that piece. But if you try to convert this into an image and give motion to the image, like it's happening in the second half of the video, then it'll look a lot more natural that piece. And say I want to change this particular text over here and have something else. So you'll see how the variables can traverse through, let's say I put in cell over here, and then
That was pretty quick. Ender, what took you so long? Guys, you can see how easy it was for Ender to just sit there and modify one of the modifiers. He just went up to the link up at the top and he just added a domain. Literally, he just typed in a dozen letters, and that's how easy it was for him to modify Nexweave up at the top there on the URL.
So this is something that you can currently do. And in terms of the handwriting fonts, I don't know them at the top of my list right now, but I'm 100% sure there are about 2 to 3 handwriting fonts available in the Google font library, if not more. So you can go ahead and just search for handwriting fonts in Google Fonts, and you'll find them in the library as well.
Miss Evans, let me go and bring you back on. I was referring to fonts. There you go, guys. Those are the fonts that Miss Evans uses. And because Nexweave can take fonts from Google, you can use your own. Just upload them in. And those are the fonts that Miss Evans uses. Miss Evans, we do have to go through your text house scraping. So we'll set that up for one of these coming weeks. And guys, we're also trying to get the founder of TextOut to join us as well. So just bear with us. He's got a really busy schedule. We'll see what we could do about bringing him on our shows.
By the way, how many of you have TextOut? You can just put in a yes or something like that.
I got it from the first launch with the desktop client. And just so in case a lot of you guys don't know, so TextOut is a tool that can do everything. That a lot of automations, pull names of the people who are your followers from inside a Facebook group, your followers from a Facebook page, your followers from Twitter. Sometimes it can even pull the email addresses attached to them also. It helps out with your LinkedIn outreach. I'm big on social outreach. A lot of you guys could tell. But yeah, I'm big on TextOut, and TextOut has become a major automation player in the market for lead gen. So anyways, we're trying to get the founder of Vikesh to join us. And Marcus. Oh, Omar says, yes, he is a customer of TextOut. Marcus, I will soon have 12 codes. I guess that is the right answer, Marcus. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you for the ideas on the fonts. And that's a big thanks to Ms. Evans. So, Marcus, thank you for joining us. And Ender, he highlighted it. You can upload your own fonts. It doesn't have to be, is it just Google fonts, or could literally be any type of font?
So when you're uploading the font, it can be any type of font. The reason why we don't have, if you've got the license for that particular font, go ahead and use it. You should be owning the license for that particular font if it's not a free font. So we've given that facility, you can use it. It stays restricted to your account, but you still have 1,000 fonts to use from the Google font library.
So Marcus, you're very much welcome for that. Guys, I didn't plan on this being a double-sized episode, but it kind of was. Thank you for geeking out with me today. Next time, we'll see what we could do about having Ms. Evans do a TextOut walkthrough, as well as trying to get Vikesh, the founder, to join us. So we'll see what we can do on that. That being said, guys, thank you for bearing with us, and I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed today's show. Wash your hands. Keep social distancing in mind. Wear your mask. Omar, thank you very much for the tip. Look at extra fonts there on fontspace.com. Wow. 79,000 free fonts. That was a really big find. We should put that up in resources, Ender, in Nexweave resources. Omar, we'll give a shout out to you. Thanks for that. That was a good one. That was a really good one. This is why we do live stream, guys, for resources and assets like that. Omar, you are an asset, and thank you very much for sharing that resource. We will put that up on the Nexweave website.
Yeah, even his early suggestion on Lord Icon is an interesting one. That's a fairly large library by itself.
Cool. And that being said, we'll see you guys next week. We're looking at Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Oh, Harpreet, right before we leave, Nexweave supports custom brand fonts. You can upload your own font under the Content Tools tab. Click on the font drop-down and select your font. There you go. So currently there's over 900 fonts in the library right now as it is. Harpreet and Omar with the win at the very end. Right as I'm trying to sign us off. Harpreet, thank you very much. We have to have you back on the show one of these days. But that being said, folks, everyone, stay safe, and we'll see you all next Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys. Stay safe.